Welcome to the Hamsi Analytics Daily Market Commentary. I'm Pablo Navarro. Today is Monday, September 24, 2012. For the market internals, the New York Stock Exchange advanced decline differential closed at negative 551. Nasdaq advanced decline differential closed at negative 245. We had 27 new 52-week highs for the S&P 500 and one new 52-week low for the S&P 500. For the volatility, there were 384,000 contracts traded on the VIX today, with 38 million in total premiums paid. For the dollar-weighted put-call ratio in October, we saw a 0.65 reading with 40% of the total premiums paid, and in November a 0.52 reading with 34% of the total premiums paid. Both of them very neutral readings here. Okay, here we have the daily chart for SPX, another down day here, but we continue to have very low volatility environment and pretty much flat overall. You could see here in the chart, this is the daily, we have been going flat for the last week or so, not much going on. We continue to be around the 1456 level, and that's pretty much where we are right now. Maybe waiting for a pullback here for the 1434 level, 0 sigma, and then maybe going even higher, trying to get this positive 2 sigma, 1480 and 1500 after that. That's going to be the targets from here. The reason we're doing that, looking at that target, is because we're finding we are currently on a bull flag here. You could see this huge run up we had, and now we're starting to slowly move basically flat here. Maybe get a pullback to 1434, and then we get a breakout. Okay, let's go here to this other chart. Important things happening here on this chart today. We almost broke the 10-day moving average. We broke it intraday, but we were able finally to close above it, which was positive. You can see here it was support here, also breakout here, and we have been tested a couple of times this moving average on the upside. So it's important we continue to hold, even we have this small downside trend line. We continue this bull flag maybe to this 20-day moving average at 1434, and then we start breaking higher. If we do not hold this 1434 level, we're maybe looking at 50-day moving average 1406. That's going to be the next target here in case we do not hold this 20-day moving average. Looking at the SPY, and let's go to this chart. Pretty much same averages. We're looking for a, here we have the chart. We're looking for a 144 level. That's 1.65 lower from here. That would be a good reversal from the highs we've made last week. And over here of 148.11, 4 points below, maybe a good startup point here for some longs. Again, same pattern, bull flag, we have it here, coming back to this 0.6, and then our targets 148.71 and 151. Those are going to be the next two targets on the upside. For the intraday action, more shorter term, we have very tight volatility here. As you can see, the weekly support, pivot, and resistance, we are below the weekly pivot of 146.23, and we're looking for 145.28. We touched that level in the morning and then bounced back somewhat. So that's going to be our first support. If we do break that to the downside, we're looking for 144.67. That's going to be another important level. And we talked about the 144 level, which is the 20-day moving average. On the upside, we need to break 0.6, and then we'll be looking for 146.84. That's going to be our first resistance, and above that we'll be looking for 147.80 and 148.40. Those are going to be the weekly targets here we have. As I mentioned, very low volatility this week. Targets are going to be very compressed. Let's go for GLD. But before we talk about GLD, we want to talk about IWM. This is the Russell 2000 ETF. We've been talking about this index maybe getting some more of a traction here. to the downside or upside where we break, and the bull flag here is more visible. This one is a more volatile index than the S&P, but we can clearly see we're still maybe at the same levels. We're looking for 83.76, but actually we want even to break that, go lower, and test the 82.80, 82.50, where we had this couple of previous highs. And that was the inverse head and shoulders we talked about on the weekly chart, on the daily chart, before we got a breakout. We're gonna look at it here, and we want to break these levels, important levels, this high with this high. I want to see a test of that level, come back here, and after that we can rally with a more bigger pullback and a bigger test here on the inverse head and shoulders breakout we got. Let's look at the Qs. Here we have the Qs. We are almost testing 0 sigma today. Qs 0.50%, 0.54% lower for the day, pretty much flat, and closing at 69.74. Somewhat of a pullback. Of course, the Qs had some of the weight today on Apple, having a bad day after the shipments of the first weekend for the iPhone 5 and the Foxconn factory closing due to some riots on the workers. So here we're looking maybe for a bigger pullback on these Qs. We want to go and test this 69.13. That's going to be our pullback level. We could draw here a trend line for wherever. For here we want to come to this level, touch that one, and then maybe rally. We want to hold the 20-day moving average, important levels here, and that would be important here maybe for another one higher. We also have this one levels here that we are around those levels. That's gonna be some support here, and the targets on the upside. We're looking for new highs of the year in the Qs. We're looking for 71.85. That's gonna be our target here, and maybe even break out of those levels after we take out this previous high that we had here last week, and we had somewhat of a pullback. This could be done because of Google all-time highs, Apple all-time highs, and both of them could have very important earnings coming up this month or so. And Amazon, same thing. We're gonna look pretty fast at those charts. Let's start with Google. Google making very important numbers today. You could see here a high of the year, almost a little bit overextended, but you could see how long we've been making here. These dots represent the high of the year. Very, very solid chart here for Google. And if we come to a monthly chart, you could see here how we are going over this previous highs we had here. So very important charts here on Google. Now going to Apple, we're gonna look only at the monthly chart. Despite Apple had a bad day today, 1.5% lower for the day, you could see its charts directly going higher. 690 close today. Very positive here for the Nasdaq. Another component, Amazon. You can see here Amazon also making all-time highs this month. Very positive charts here for technology, and maybe coming with new earnings. Things could continue to go up good for here for the Nasdaq. So those are some very important components that we've been watching here, and we are maybe getting some important signs for the big names in the Nasdaq. Let's go to GLD. And let's look at the daily chart. Friday we had an outside day reversal to the downside. Sorry, here on Friday we broke the 1 sigma, and we are now on the 0 to 1 sigma channel. Nothing bad here, pretty much what S&P has been doing, big run up, and now basically consolidating on this 170, 171 level. Very important levels. Gold could be setting up for a potential pull higher again. We're looking for 175.40 level, and maybe even 179.50. Those are going to be the upside targets. If we look at the moving averages for GLD, here we have a 10-day moving average acted as support again. couple of times is this breakout. We've touched this 10-day moving average and no break. We're starting to get pretty close, but if you look at this bull flag pattern here, we're starting to get it here. Maybe we're getting ready for a pullback. We are at support right now, very short term, but important. This 179.69 level has been support, so we'll be looking for maybe a breakout to this 174 level, 175. Important levels here for gold. Last chart we're gonna look at is VIX. And let's look here at the daily chart. You could see here, let's start with this one. Perfect downward trend line here for the VIX. And you can see perfectly how it's fitting there. Everything going lower, couple of lower highs, lower lows, and we're getting here another important line on the bottom. Some support. We're getting near some support on the downside around the lows of the year. So maybe we're getting here this triangle starting to compress. What's gonna happen? We're gonna go up or down. VIX is already at very low levels. Does not mean we have to go up from here, but as time passes and this triangle starts to shrink, our next goal would be the 1857. That's going to be our 200-day moving average. We've been talking about that for a while now. We wanted to go up there and fail the 200-day moving average as the market makes this pullback. That's here what we're looking on the VIX. And we could see it here on the daily chart with the sigma channels. No close above the 0 sig. We want maybe some volatility coming back into the markets. We have a special offer by TradeStation. Get your HAMSI Analytics proprietary indicators paid by TradeStation. Contact Active Traders office in Chicago, Peter Albino, at the number listed below. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.